Hey, what's up everyone? Rathio here and today I'm bringing you a guide on how to play Arcane Mage in the Midnight Pre-Patch. This video will be split into sections so you can jump to the one that's most relevant to you. Before we jump into the video, I'd like to thank everyone who has supported me so far. We're up to 14 subscribers now, so we're getting closer to the 500 mark. And if you do like my content, be sure to subscribe so that you can catch more of it in the future. I will be doing additional guides going forward, so let me know in the comments which ones you're most interested in learning. Alright, jumping into the guide. Let's first talk about the changes going into Midnight. Arcane Harmony has been changed to Arcane Salvo and is now the core mechanic which the spec revolves around. You no longer need to maintain Arcane Tempo, and this is now just a passive haste buff. Next, Nether Precision is also gone and Arcane Missiles just deal a lot more damage, which makes sense, don't you think? I mean, when have you not heard missiles do a lot of damage? Intuition has been reworked as well. This no longer restores arcane charges, but instead causes your arcane barrage to deal increased damage at maximum stacks of arcane salvo. Or barrage has been redesigned as well, and it now has a 4% chance per arcane salvo to launch an orb at 100% effectiveness, making it far less impactful than what it was before. TLDR of the changes: you don't need a PhD to play Arcane Mage anymore. Alright, let's talk about some talents. Note that any of the talent builds I discuss in this video can be found on Wowhead, and I will be placing a link to them in the video description. The key talents we play around are Arcane Salvo and Arcane Singularity. These cause each wave of Arcane Missiles to increase the damage of Arcane Barrage by 7% up to 175%, meaning we always want to be at max stacks to maximize the damage of our Arcane Barrage. Next, we have Arcane Surge. This expends all of our mana to deal damage to the target and other enemies around it, and it does two very important things. A, it increases mana regen by 425%, and B, it increases spell damage by 35%, both of these for 15 seconds. Then we have Touch of the Magi, which applies a debuff to your target, accumulating 20% of all the damage that you deal to the target for 12 seconds, and at the end of it explodes for all the damage it has stored. It deals this damage on the target and reduces damage to the enemies around the target. Now, repeat after me. I will not swap targets once I have marked it with Touch of the Magi. This is really important if you don't want to be tanking your damage. We also have Aegwyn's Technique, which gives you a clear casting proc each time you use Touch of the Magi. And then we have Intuition, which causes your Arcane Barrage to deal 25% increased damage at max stacks of Arcane Salvo. For our hero talents in pre-patch, we play Sun Fury, and there are two key things to remember here. First, Sun Fury allows us to stack Arcane Salvo to 25 instead of 20. And second is the capstone for Sun Fury, Memory of Alar, which summons a phoenix each time we cast Arcane Surge, and at the end of it grants us Arcane Soul for 6 seconds, which causes our Arcane Barrage to grant clear casting and generate 4 arcane charges. On top of this, during this phase, each cast of Arcane Barrage grants us 5 Arcane Salvo charges and does not consume any Salvo charges either. By now you may have realized that your primary focus as an Arcane Mage is to build Arcane Salvo stacks and expend them using Arcane Barrage. If you've understood this, you've pretty much understood how the spec plays. Next up, getting into the rotation. For our opener, pre-pot about 3 seconds before the pull starts, and about 2 seconds before the pull is about to start, you need to start casting Arcane Surge so that as soon as the fight starts, you're benefiting from the increased mana regen and damage increase from Arcane Surge. Your next priority will be to get to 25 stacks of Arcane Salvo, and as soon as this happens, you want to cast Touch of the Magi into Arcane Barrage. Now remember, Touch of the Magi gives us a clear casting proc, so once you've done Touch of the Magi into Arcane Barrage, you immediately follow it up with Arcane Missiles. The goal of this is to get back up to 25 stacks of Arcane Salvo so that you can squeeze in as many Arcane Barrages with your Touch of the Magi window. Now, because we have staggered the cast of Touch of the Magi, so it happens when you have 25 stacks of Arcane Salvo, you will have Arcane Soul proc within a couple of GCDs of your Touch of the Magi starting. During this time, you want to prioritize casting as many Arcane Barrages as possible in the Arcane Soul window in order to maximize the burst from Touch and to maximize Salvo stacks. Not to mention, it is instant cast, so it's way better than any other spell for Arcane Salvo stat generation. And once Touch of the Magi has ended, you simply rinse and repeat. One thing to keep in mind, and something that is carried forward from the previous expansion, is that you will have two burst windows. One with Arcane Surge, which will also be referred to as your big burn, and one without Arcane Surge, which will also be called your mini burn. But your rotation basically remains the same regardless of the type of burst window. An important thing to note here is that you should be using your trinkets in a way that allows you to use its benefits during the entirety of the Touch of the Magi window. So, if Touch of the Magi lasts 12 seconds and your trinket lasts X seconds, then you should use your trinket X minus 12 seconds before your Touch of the Magi cast. For instance, I have a Signet of Priori which lasts 20 seconds, meaning I will use my trinket 20 minus 12 equals 8 seconds before the Touch of the Magi cast. And you can apply the same formula whether you have a trinket that lasts 30 seconds or 10 seconds or 15 seconds or what have you. When it comes to single target, your rotation pretty much remains the same, and the key difference is in the talents that we choose. First, we drop the 2 points in Aether Attunement because we don't need arcane missiles to cleave in a single target scenario, for obvious reasons, and instead, we pick up Charged Orb, which gives us another arcane orb charge, and Impetus, which causes our arcane blast to grant another arcane charge. This is because in single target, we lose the advantage to gain charges faster due to the presence of multiple mobs. So instead, we compensate for it using these two talents instead. Next, we drop a point in Resonance since we don't need Arcane Barrage to deal damage to secondary targets, well, because there are no secondary targets in single target. And instead, we pick up Mana Bomb, which buffs our Arcane Surge damage up to an additional 50% based on the amount of mana that we spend. And that's it. If you haven't tried Arcane Mage yet, do give it a shot. I strongly recommend it. It feels amazing to play, the rotation is smooth, and it's not as complicated as it used to be. Let me know in the comments below if you found this guide helpful, or if you have any feedback for me so I can improve it in future videos. Please remember to subscribe, and you can also catch me live on twitch.tv/Rathios. Until next time, peace.